Okay, let's dive into a story about a creed that, well, isn't quite what it seems. It's a statement of faith that has shaped centuries of history, but it's holding a pretty fascinating secret.
You've probably heard these words before, right? They're the opening lines of what everyone calls the Nicene Creed. For over 1,600 years, this has been a foundational statement of faith, recited in churches all over the world. It's a huge symbol of unity and orthodoxy.
And boom, right there, that's the central mystery we're going to crack today. The creed we all call Nicene isn't actually the original one from the Council of Nicaea. So where did it come from? The real story is a wild ride of imperial politics, theological street fights, and a historical puzzle that took centuries to solve. To solve this puzzle, we have to go way back to the beginning. Back to the first big attempt to get the whole church on the same page, doctrinally speaking. The Council of Nicaea, all the way back in 325 AD.
So you've got the Roman Emperor Constantine. He just finished uniting the entire empire under his rule, and now he wants to unite the church too. He calls bishops from all over the known world to meet in a city called Nicaea. Tradition says 318 of them showed up, and their job? To solve a massive theological crisis that was literally threatening to tear his brand new unified empire apart.
So here's the core of the fight, laid out side by side. On one side, you have this priest named Arius. He was basically teaching that the Son of God, Jesus, was a created being. Sure, a glorious, divine being, but not eternal and not of the same exact stuff as God the Father. This wasn't just philosophy. It struck at the very heart of salvation. In response, the council came down hard. They declared the Son is from the substance of the Father, begotten, not made, and consubstantial with him.
And it all boiled down to this one single Greek word, homoousion. It means of the same substance. Now, this word became a huge battleground because, well, it's not actually in the Bible, and that made a lot of bishops really nervous. But its defenders argued that it was the only word that could slam the door completely on the Arian view, making it crystal clear that the Son is fully God, not some kind of demigod or creature. And get this, the original creed from 325 didn't end with a nice, tidy statement about believing in the church. Oh no, it ended with this, a sharp condemnation called an anathema. It's basically a formal curse, explicitly damning anyone who held the Arian view. This was not a document of friendly compromise. This was a theological line in the sand.
But here's the thing. Nicaea didn't end the debate. Not even close. In fact, it pretty much just threw gasoline on the fire, kicking off more than 50 years of absolute chaos across the Roman Empire.
I mean, the years after Nicaea were just brutal. Emperors who leaned Arian came to power, bishops who supported Nicaea were exiled, and the whole conflict spilled out into the streets. This quote from a letter written a half-century later paints a terrifying picture of what people went through. This wasn't some quiet academic debate. It was a vicious struggle for the soul of the church, where the stakes were literally life and death.
All right, let's jump forward to 381 AD. There's a new emperor in town, Theodosius. He's a hardcore supporter of the Nicene side, and he is determined to stamp out Arianism once and for all. So what does he do? He calls another major council, this time in the empire's new capital, Constantinople.
Now, if you're imagining this grand, holy, organized event, you're in for a surprise. This council was a mess. I mean, look at its leadership. It was a total revolving door. The first guy in charge, Meletius, dies right after the council starts. His replacement, the brilliant theologian Gregory of Nazianzus, gets so disgusted with all the political infighting that he just resigns. So who do they pick to lead this crucial theological council? An elderly government official named Nectarius, who hadn't even been baptized yet. You just can't make this stuff up.
And to add another layer to the mystery, the most important documents from the council, the official theological rulings, have completely vanished from history. We've got letters, we've got rules about church discipline, but the core text is just gone.
So you're probably asking, how on earth did this chaotic council, with its revolving door leadership and its lost records, produce the beautiful, balanced creed that we use today? Well, the short answer is, it probably didn't. And it took centuries for anyone to figure that out.
Just look at them side by side. The original creed from 325 is on the left, and the one we call the Nicene Creed today is on the right. They are clearly not the same document. The later one actually takes out that super controversial from the substance of the Father line. It adds more detail about Jesus' incarnation, and this is the biggest difference. It has this huge, beautifully written new section all about the Holy Spirit, the church, baptism, and the resurrection.
So here's what modern scholars have pieced together. The bishops at Constantinople in 381 didn't invent a new creed out of thin air. Instead, they took an existing local creed, one that was probably already being used for baptisms in a place like Jerusalem or Antioch, and they revised it. They specifically beefed up the part about the Holy Spirit to fight back against a new heresy that had popped up. But, and this is the real kicker, the creed didn't become famous then. Its real moment in the spotlight came 70 years later at another council, the Council of Chalcedon in 451, which held it up as the definitive statement of faith.
So, after all that mess and all that confusion, why does this council even matter so much? Well, its legacy is just as complicated as the council itself.
You see, the council's legacy was kind of split right down the middle. Its theology, the creed we've been talking about, was eventually embraced by pretty much the entire Christian world, both East and West. But its other rules, the ones about church authority, especially a canon that elevated Constantinople to second place right after Rome, yeah, the West pretty much said thanks but no thanks, and ignored that for a very, very long time.
Over time, though, the doctrinal authority of this council just grew and grew until it became seen as absolutely fundamental. I mean, listen to this incredible statement from Pope Gregory the Great more than 200 years later. He is essentially putting the work of this council and 3 others on the same level of authority as the 4 Gospels themselves. That is how important it became.
And that leaves us with this final, really fascinating question. The story of this creed isn't clean or simple. It's a story of conflict, of politics, of clashing personalities, and even of lost documents. And yet somehow, out of that historical mess came a statement of faith with incredible depth that has endured for centuries. It just makes you wonder how history and human struggle and belief can all get tangled up to create something so powerful and lasting.